Hello everyone! Welcome to the Annotated Museum, where I hope to take you on a tour of various subjects. This first video is mainly an introduction of sorts for me to introduce who I am, my channel, video ideas, and a special project that I'm working on. So, this channel is called Annotated Museum because I study history of art. My name is Catriel, and I'm a university student, and other than history of art, I also study Italian. I've lived in the US, that's where I was born and grew up, but I've also lived in France, and now I live in Ireland, which has given me a unique experience of interacting with different cultures. However, not entirely diverse, as I have never lived outside of the Western world. One of my main goals within studying art history is to help the subject work to decolonize itself. History of art is taught very Western and Eurocentric, even in terms of art within the United States, which is considered part of the Western world, isn't taught until the later periods because that's when it was considered pertinent to the canon. But I think it's also important to note that a lot of, especially introduction to history of art classes, mainly focus on male European artists and then later on male American artists, and the argument that, oh, well, we're just teaching like a brief overview of the canon, while ignoring some pretty key figures, as well as ignoring entire countries that were also creating art at the same time. Even if the art that they were creating was different or used for a different way, it's still important to analyze and include those so that people really do get a well-rounded version of what the history of art is, because it's not just history of European art, it's the history of art. Now, obviously, when you decide to study history of art, you choose a topic to focus on. So that might be something within European art. But in terms of an introductory class, I think it's more important to give a more well-rounded focus, especially in terms of not only the fact that we're still fighting to include more female artists in the canon. Now we have to include in that fight POC artists, any non-Western artists really. Even Eastern European art tends to get more ignored in those classes. So I would love to work on that within history of art. Continue, even if it's not the exact subject that I focus on, make sure that I take those ideas into my focus while I work. While some of my videos in the beginning will follow some of the big European or American names, I want to make sure that I also include artists from everywhere to show that the canon can change and will change. We just need to put the effort in to change it. As art historians are the ones who make the canon, it's our job to make sure that the canon is actually representative of the world. Other than that, I really enjoy reading and writing. I'm a huge fantasy fan. I love Lord of the Rings. It's one of my favorite book series. I'm reading Wheel of Time right now. It's a bit of a long series. I'm still in the first book, but I've heard great things and my dad really likes it, so I wanted to read it. Another good author that I enjoy is R.F. Kuang. I really liked the Poppy War trilogy, as well as I'm currently hoping to read Babel as soon as I'm done the first Wheel of Time book, because then I'm like, okay, well, I can take a break from Wheel of Time after I at least finish the first book. I'm an avid dragon boater. It's a canoe sport that involves a boat that has the head and tail of a dragon and can hold anywhere from 10 to 20 paddlers, and then there's a drummer and a steersperson. I've competed in the world champs for that sport twice, and it's been a lovely and amazing process. Highly recommend that sport. If you find a team near you, you should go do it. It's lovely. It works for literally anyone. And then my current fascination within art history kind of changes. I went from being really interested in the like old European masters, it's hard not to be. I mean, Renaissance and Baroque art is stunning. But specifically now I'm kind of leaning towards Italian futurists and female artists within that category, but also feminist conceptual and performance artists of the 2000s. I had a really interesting experience, which is why I'm like shifting my viewpoint a bit, not only from the fact of getting to take some more classes on more modern and contemporary art this year, but also I had the opportunity to attend the Association of Art History conference in York back in April, which was a 3-day conference that completely was a crazy experience. I got to hear so many different talks, so many lovely different talks. I got to meet Griselda Pollock, which was amazing. And my professor had helped pay for it, so that was how I was able to go, because conferences are expensive. And I made some really good connections there as well, so it was a really overall good experience, and I would love to go again next year if I can. In terms of this channel, my first video I helped to talk about Rosa Bonheur, who was a lesbian realist painter and sculptor from France. I hope to do this as sort of an ode to Pride Month, even though this video and that video are going to be coming out after Pride Month due to bad timing on my part. But as someone who's queer, I think we can celebrate Pride even not just during June, but also when I'm filming this, it is June, so happy Pride Month. Most of my videos will either be about a specific artist or a specific time period, but I also want to make videos about current events in art, as I do find the art world fascinating, especially the market side of it, even though it's kind of odd sometimes. As well as I'll talk about different jobs in the field if you're interested in studying art history and you are kind of wondering what's available to you. As well as I might do some videos that sort of go over how to look at art, how art historians write and talk about art in a way that's different than someone who maybe doesn't study art history goes into a museum. But also, obviously, you don't have to study art history to be able to talk and enjoy art. In fact, art is, in my personal opinion, art should be enjoyed by everyone. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a classist divide, especially within museums, with ticket prices going up and also the concept of a museum. But I hope that more and more museums become free or are able to lower their prices because maybe they can get government funding or whatever, as I really do think it should be a place that everyone gets to go to. The second to last thing I wanted to talk about is this project that I've been working on. It's still a work in progress and probably won't be up for a while, probably will be up at the end of the summer, but I've always found it interesting that when you're talking to people about, okay, what do you do, like how can you help yourself during, say, your undergrad into getting into a master's or a PhD program within history of art, and a lot of them always say like try and get published, and I think that goes for a lot of fields, but it's hard to get published as an undergrad, especially as like not an upperclassman, right? So your first couple years, and some say like during your first couple years, it's sort of your exploratory time, and I do agree with that. But if you're pretty sure that this is something that you'd want to pursue, or at the very least, you still want to get that practice in whether you pursue it or not, I've been trying to create an undergraduate history of art online journal for people to submit writing works, and then we'll publish them on a free online journal platform. While it's not going to be paid or anything, it is a chance for you to put your work out there for people to read, and I will advertise it on my Instagram, on this YouTube channel, and around campus where I go to school. I do have an Instagram. It's Annotated Museum. I post random museum trips that I go on, as well as art projects that I'm working on, and I'm really into motorsports, so sometimes I post stuff about that. So if you want more maybe behind the scenes look into my life, the Instagram is a good place to check out. But anyways, I want to thank you all for watching. This is the Annotated Museum, and I'm Catriel. And if you enjoy these ideas and love art or want to love art, please like and subscribe for more videos. Thank you!